Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Ground and Pound Podcast Best Bets video for UFC 321. Aspinall taking on Aaran in the main event. And as always, if you're enjoying the content here, hit that like and subscribe button as we talk money lines, we talk props, we talk parlays. And as always, we have to kick this video off with the slam of the week, the most confident parlay I have on the board. I was able to get this one earlier on in the week when the odds were a little bit better. Looking to get this video out as soon as possible for you guys when the sports book drops a little bit more of the props and some of the other money lines and things like that. But looking to round things out here with the first leg, we have Umar Nurmagomedov for the slam of the week. And I think that he gets it done here against Mario Batista. He's got the wrestling to fall back on, very credentialed striker. And I think that he wants to get revenge after that title loss to Marab, obviously losing his undefeated streak, now 18-1. I think he wants to get back in the win column here against Mario Batista in a big way. Look for him to make a statement with the wrestling. Umar Nurmagomedov in the first leg here of our slam of the week. And for the second leg, we have Walter Walker. He's been on an absolute tear, 3 heel hook victories in a row. And I think that he does this again. I think he comes out. I think he finds another submission. He looks to get fights to the ground early. He's definitely not paid by the hour. This man comes in here and looks for the finish every single time. And he's been on an absolute tear. 6'6" over the 6'3" Sutherland here. Both guys were supposed to fight weeks ago. Now getting together to fight here on this Abu Dhabi card. I think Walter Walker gets this one done using his ground game, and he's got all the momentum that we need here for the second leg of our slam of the week. And for the third leg, we have the boy in the main event, Tom Aspinall here inside the distance. I like it wherever the fight goes. I think Tom Aspinall's going to have the advantage. If he wants to take Aaran down, submit him on the ground, I think he can do that. If he wants to knock him out on the feet like he's done with a lot of previous opponents, I think that he can do that too. I really like the way that Tom Aspinall's looked. I think he's going to come out here to make a statement after having that year layoff, waiting for his dad, waiting for John Jones. And ultimately, he wants to show that what he's been working on in that year. And I just think inside the distance is pretty much how you have to play Tom Aspinall. He's another guy that's not being paid by the hour. He wants to come in here and get the finish. And that rounds out the slam of the week here, sitting at around even money, -104. Like I said, I got this parlay in a little bit earlier on in the week, but I still think there's value here to be had sitting at around even money. And next up, we have the chalk parlay of the week, the one where we put some of the bigger favorites on the card. There's a lot of them here on this UFC 321 card. Some of these big favorites all together to get us plus money. And first off, we have Azut Maxim here taking on Mitch Raposo. I like Maxim here to get in the win column here. First UFC victory. He's definitely got the wrestling to fall back on. I think he's the better wrestler overall. He's got the height and reach advantage here. I think he's got nice kicks as well, which can definitely cause some problems for Mitch Raposo, who's mostly just a boxer. I like him to get this one done here. He's fought the much higher level competition inside the UFC and took Tagir Ulanbekov to a very decent decision. He had a good third round, obviously losing 29-28 ultimately, but he was still pushing a pace late into the third round. I think he gets in the win column here for the first leg of our chalk parlay. And for the second leg, we've got Jacqueline Amorim. Her opponent's had 2.5 years of a layoff, coming off of a big injury. And Amorim's been on an absolute tear. She's obviously a wizard on the ground. All of her wins coming inside the distance. Trains out of American top team. She's the more athletic girl. She's has a slight reach advantage as well. I think she's probably the better striker as well. And I think she gets this one to the ground and ultimately either rides out a decision or finds pretty much a submission on the ground like she's been doing. She's world class there and she knows exactly where her bread is buttered. I think she gets this one to the ground and ultimately has success. And for the third leg, we have Ikram Alaskarov here for the chalk parlay, rounding it out, sitting at around +125. Ikram's just got the power, and obviously his 2 losses, a short notice 2-day step up, flying across the world, having to cut weight against Robert Whittaker. No shame in losing there, how he did. And obviously the current champion, Khamzat Chimaev. They're his 2 losses in MMA. Other than that, he's been on an absolute tear. Obviously great wrestling, good takedown defense, and he has power in the hands. He stalks you on the feet. And once people taste his power, they tend to back up. And I do think here that the Iron Turtle, Park, is going to struggle with dealing with that power. He's more of a volume puncher. He can't fall back on the wrestling. Give me Ikram Alaskarov here for the chalk parlay, rounding things out, as I said, at around +125. And now we have to talk about our first money line play here. We have Mateus Camilo sitting at around plus 100 here as a dog. El Shawadi has taken about a year and 7 months of a layoff. Obviously, Camilo coming off of that performance against Gabe Green. He did get submitted, but he did have success early in the first round. He's a very, sort of brutish Muay Thai style striker. Big, strong Brazilian, only 24 years old, very athletic, and he hits very hard. And I do question Shawadi's chin at this point. He's been knocked out in all 4 of his losses, and Camilo's been submitted in all of his. So this fight really just comes down to a guy that wants to knock you out on the feet and a guy that wants to take you down and submit you. And I just think this one comes down to the fact that Shawadi's got to get this fight to the ground after a year and 7 months layoff. And Camilo has shown even in the first early round of his previous fight against Gabe Green that he's still very live on the ground with throwing up triangles and almost getting a submission there of his own. So I do like Camilo here as the underdog. I think that this is pretty much a 50-50 fight. Just depends on whoever's able to implement their game plan. But what we've not seen from Shawadi is activity, and we've not seen an ability to take people down and hold them down. So give me Mateus Camilo here as the slight underdog. Thought about making him lock of the week this week. However, the inexperience and not being able to get a UFC victory at this point, he needs to prove a little bit more before we start putting him in as the dog of the week. Mateus Camilo sitting at around plus 100. And next up, we have Azamat Murzakanov here taking on Alexander Rakic, and he gives up height and reach in all of his matchups, but that doesn't worry me here. Rakic has obviously lost his last 3 fights against high-level competition. However, Azamat is a skilled kickboxer. He's a skilled striking artist here. He has good Muay Thai. He hits hard, spinning back fist, good takedown defense, and I just think that he's a guy to be reckoned with. He's proven to me that he is the real deal, and I think that he can get this one done here against the higher-level step-up in Rakic. Rakic obviously is going to be a desperate man, obviously fighting for his job at this point. However, what we do know with Azamat is that he comes in, he pressures you, and he knocks you out. He can go the distance as well, no cardio issues, and he does a good job with his footwork of bouncing in and out of range just to be able to close the distance against taller opponents. So give me Azamat Murzakanov here to get this one done, sitting around even money. I think he should be a bigger favorite in my opinion. And next up, we have Alexander Volkov here sitting at plus 110 for the plus 3.5 spread against Jolton Almeida. I like Alexander Volkov here as an underdog. I almost thought about making him the dog of the week this week, but we can actually get him at plus money. For all we need him to do is to win 1 round. That's what the spread is, the plus 3.5. And I think Volkov can do that if he defends the takedowns early in round 1. We know with Almeida he's going to shoot sloppy takedowns. We know that Volkov's the better striker here, standing at 6'7". The guy's got much more experience as well, and he's been on an absolute warpath. He got robbed against Cyril Gane. This event should be Alexander Volkov taking on Aspinall 2, in my opinion. And Volkov here, I just think that he can keep this one standing and ultimately win with the striking. We've seen with Almeida that once he's not the hammer and he becomes the nail, he tends to fold like he did in that Curtis Blades fight. Give me Alexander Volkov here to win 1 round on the judges' scorecards. Keep this fight on the feet ultimately, sitting at around plus 110 here for the plus 3.5 spread. Alexander Volkov, you were going to be the dog of the week, my friend, but I think you cashed for us here for the plus 3.5 spread. And that brings us to the dog of the week, my favorite betting underdog on the entire UFC 321 card. And if you haven't seen the video already, you know who it is. Virna Jandiroba this week for the dog of the week in the co-main event here of UFC Abu Dhabi 321. And I like her to get this one done. Full highlight reel tape, obviously, over on the channel. Check that video out. Obviously, talking about the keys to victory here against Mackenzie Dern. Looking to make it 4 of our last 5 here for the dog of the week. My favorite betting underdog on this card. And that wraps things up here for everything that we have to talk about here on the channel. We have the dog of the week, as I just mentioned, Virna Jandiroba. Check that video out. Full highlight reel tape for you guys, along with the full card breakdown for UFC 321. Aspinall taking on Gane in the main event. And if you enjoyed the content, you know what to do. Hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace!